For it to be so bad where you're down 24 to nothing and you pull Jalen Hurts and some of your other offensive players just out of mercy, just by not because the situation's out of your hands, because you're playing so poorly that you just can't leave them on the field for the final 35 minutes. I mean, it feels like every week they hit a new rock bottom. It's almost impressive where, they lost to the 49ers and maybe that, was a blowout, but hey, the 49ers are really good. And then you get blown up by the Cowboys and hey, the Cowboys are pretty good. That's okay. And then you lose that heartbreaker to Seattle and well, that's not great. And then you lose at home to Arizona and the alarms are blaring. And now this game today where you just get your doors beat in by a hapless Giants team playing for absolutely nothing. It's kind of weird. I think a lot of people probably don't even realize the Eagles still have a game next week. They're in the postseason. They get to go to Tampa Bay. They're favored for whenever they play next weekend, whether that's on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. And I think there's a lot of people here who probably think Nick Sirianni should join some of the other coaches we're going to talk about on the unemployment line tomorrow.
A lot of a lot of people here is Tucker speaking in the third person. Um, that feels like an emotional
A
reaction.
lot of
I'll
people
be
in this
honest
room
with
that
you.
I'm in right now, a lot of people in my office think that Nick Sirianni should be fired tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that feels like an emotional reaction, but I'll let you have it. You're a fan. I get it. Yeah, I mean, you could say, well, we pulled out, we benched everyone, and maybe you try to explain it away, but they were getting beaten before that. They lost
They
AJ
outscored
Brown.
them once they put the backups in, right? It was 24
Um,
nothing, and they put the backups in. They outscored them 10 to
yeah, that's
3.
right. That's right. I will be honest with you. I just kind of stopped watching that game once Hurts was out. I do think we need to talk about the AJ Brown injury. Shortly after the injury, Ian Rappaport reported that the ACL is intact, so that's a good sign. The fact that that's kind of where we were worried about is not a great sign. Jalen Hurts had a finger injury. It seemed he played through it, and then before he was benched, so maybe that's not so much to worry about. But yeah, I don't know how you could have. I don't know how you could have a worse end of the season than the Eagles have had. But the good news is they're getting the Bucs. I mean, the Bucs were able to hold on this week against the Panthers to get their playoff spot, and that's great. But the Bucs offense has really struggled the last 2 weeks. Baker Mayfield has a rib injury. He picked up an ankle injury in that Panthers game. Maybe you're going to get lucky here going up against a defense that, if you get Devontae Smith back, you would say that this offense, because the offense, again, remains or has been, even over this bad run, fine today, notwithstanding. But so maybe you can do something against this pass defense, this Bucs pass defense, and Baker Mayfield is injured, so maybe your defense can do enough. But I mean, after that, I don't. It's tough to see anything resembling a run for this team right now, which is such a fall from where we were after that Bills win. Like, this is such a collapse, and it is the signs were there. The defense was struggling. The offense didn't have it needed to speed up. It needed to do other things, but they just kept winning, and now it's just a train wreck.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I think playing Tampa Bay probably is the best draw for them in the NFC. You could argue the two worst teams in the NFC playoffs are playing each other in that 4-5 matchup next weekend. And there is a road for them to win, right? And maybe Darius Slay comes back from his knee surgery next week, and he's healthy. Maybe Devontae Smith is back. Who knows? With AJ Brown's probably going to be some sort of knee sprain. I think once it's all said and done, and we get the official prognosis. But yeah, I think there's a world where the Eagles could win next week, and it's a little poetic because Jalen Hurts' first playoff game came against the Buccaneers and Tom Brady, and they got absolutely destroyed. And there was a clip that circulated online of the Buccaneers defensive coaching staff saying, "Hey, just let him throw the ball. He can't beat us with his arm." And obviously, Jalen Hurts has improved and is a much different player than that. But I think beyond, maybe squeaking out a win in Tampa Bay, I don't think there's really any hope of them because if you win that game, more than likely you have to go to San Francisco. Or if one of the other two teams, below you, whether that's Green Bay or Los Angeles, one of them win, then you have to go to Dallas. Like those are your two situations right now, or San Francisco or Dallas on the road. And those are two teams that the last time you played them within the last month, you weren't even remotely competitive. So I think for this team, maybe they squeak out an extra week in their season, but for all intents and purposes, the dream of repeating as NFC champions and maybe going back to the Super Bowl is pretty much dead.